Next, I'd like to invite to the podium the Reverend Robert Moore, who has served since 1981 as full-time executive director of the Princeton, New Jersey-based Coalition for Peace Action. It's a regional organization dedicated to global abolition of nuclear weapons, a peace economy, and a halt to weapons trafficking. From 1988 to 2014, he also served as part-time pastor of East Brunswick Congregational Church, and from 2014 to 2016 as part-time co-pastor of Christ Congregation in Princeton. Since his full-time peacemaking ministry began in 1978, Reverend Moore has played a leadership role in major activities in the U.S. peace movement.
It's an honor to be with you again. I remember, I think I was honored at one of the first of these annual gatherings about 18 years ago. And one of the first things I said was, wow, I love the name of your group. Muslims for Peace. That is the best antidote to the hateful bigotry that tried to say that Muslims are terrorists. The best antidote. So I'm thrilled. I salute you. I salute Mustafa, all the leaders of the group. I think it's wonderful. And when I come to these annual gatherings, I feel like I am with family. I am with family. We are the beloved community together when we stand together for peace. I want to just mention a couple of points from some of the scriptures that we have in the Jewish and Christian tradition, very briefly. Psalm 34, I think, characterizes the work that we do and are called to do across the faith spectrum. And we were started in 1980, the Coalition for Peace Action, as a way for all the different faith groups, but mostly, quite honestly, it was Protestant, Catholic, and Jewish in those days, to come together to advocate for the global abolition of nuclear weapons. And, you know, by the way, not to try any one-upsmanship here, but we've been doing this for 45 years now. We just had our 45th annual conference and multi-faith service for peace. Psalm 34 just has this command in it from God: seek peace and pursue it. And I think there is just so much to that. It's really what we all need to be united around. We can't just hope for it. We can't just give lip service to it. We've got to be seeking it and pursuing it all the time. And it's only when we do that that we are really responding to the call, the divine call to all of us, to create peace and be peacemakers in this world that God has blessed us with. So I thank you for being at this for 18 years, and may you have another 18 plus years coming up. Then this psalm, Psalm 133, a little bit later in the book of Psalms, says, "How good and pleasant it is for sisters and brothers to dwell together in peace." And again, this is the feeling that I have when I'm looking for what is it that makes us authentic and genuine in our various peace traditions. Well, the thing that unites us is that all the great world religions call for the human family to live together in peace. All of the great religions. And so we need to really celebrate and observe this, how good and pleasant it is for sisters and brothers to dwell together in peace. That's the reason I love coming to this gathering every year. And by the way, we did catch up eventually, especially after the horrors of 9/11. And we realized that our Muslim sisters and brothers were being persecuted unfairly, unjustly, sometimes even violently. And we said, this is part of the peacemaking community too. We need to have them involved with us. So every year now we have a Muslim imam who comes in as part of our multi-faith service for peace. This is important for all of us to dwell together in peace. And when we do, we have that experience of it feeling good and pleasant and empowered by being together. One last point, and this relates to the theme that you have this year of Prophet Muhammad being a voice for the oppressed. What it brought to mind in Christianity, my faith, lost its way in many ways for a long time. We lost our way to the heart of our faith because all of the theologians, all the people trying to talk about and help us understand the Christian faith were mostly in fairly well-to-do areas of the world, in Europe and in North America mostly. And so they had a big blind spot. I have to say I was a part of that growing up. There was a big blind spot. And the blind spot was that we didn't see God's call for justice and peace as central to our faith. And here is what happened, and it unfolded while I was in seminary at Wittenberg University. One of my fellow graduates of Wittenberg is here. So when I was in seminary, I remember starting to hear about this thing that we called liberation theology. And I says, ooh, that sounds interesting. Let me find out. Well, you know what? All of those theologians were from what's called the third world. That is the poorer parts of the world. Latin America, Africa, Asia. That was where a lot of those theologians came from. And then when we brought it to the United States as well, it was the African American faith leaders, it was women faith leaders, these groups that had been shunted to the side and weren't allowed to be at the heart of what our understanding of our faith is. They were the ones who really came to the fore. And I thank God for that, because we needed to have those blinders taken off. We, the Christians, needed to have those blinders taken off. And I think that's best expressed in this text that Jesus used from the prophet Isaiah. This is in the 4th chapter of Luke in our New Testament. And it's Jesus' inaugural sermon. You may remember he was from Nazareth. So, of course, he was a part of the synagogue there. This was the text that he chose from Isaiah for that inaugural sermon. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set those free who are oppressed. That is really the heart of what Jesus' mission was. It's why he made it central to his inauguration sermon, which set the motif for his entire ministry. We are called to be allies, to be people who are working to free the oppressed, the poor, and the suffering peoples who are our sisters and brothers. Thank you, and peace be with you.